Sweet. All right, Kyle, you there, buddy?
I'm here.
All right, look at that. If you guys don't know Kyle, as you can tell from his awesome background, Kyle is a top YouTuber. He's me and Kyle, gosh, I remember I met Kyle in October 2017 at my first eXp con. I guess that was probably your first eXp con too.
Yep.
So me and Kyle were randomly at the awards banquet sitting at tables next to each other. Him and I both like to be at the front, have good seats to events and stuff. So we're like the only ones in the room. And we just started talking and I was like, oh yeah, I got a podcast. And Kyle's like, oh, cool. I thought you might've had one too, or you were starting one.
Yeah.
You're interested. And I was like, man, I'd love to interview for it. And since then, man, it's been, gosh, almost 6 years. We've been friends and we've vacationed together, been snowboarding together. Our families get to hang out. So it's been fun getting to know you, and you're one of my best friends in the whole world. So I can't believe it's taken me this long to get you back on here. I think you were on here a few years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be on here and kind of just add some value however I can with the group.
Cool. Fun fact, Kyle was at my house in Puerto Rico as the pandemic was starting. We were like watching the news, and as the first case hit the Pacific Northwest, I think it was Washington, and me and Kyle went to Costco together. We had like gloves on and masks because like we didn't know what this thing was, and we're like waiting in line with everyone trying to get into Costco to like stock up supplies for our family. And like Puerto Rico was so bad though, Kyle. You remember when we went out, I think, to the beach, and we were like hiding from security to get back because they were like telling you to go back to your house.
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember. And there was like helicopters like flying down the beach, like checking on people. And oh yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, next time, well, if a pandemic ever happens again, I will be not being in Puerto Rico because they were so strict during the lockdowns. It was ridiculous. All right, brother. So if you could share just a brief background on your history as a real estate agent in a minute or less, and then we'll dive into what you're doing with attraction and all your good stuff you got going on.
Yeah. All right. So I got into real estate in '08, and basically got started in new home sales. Did that for about 5 years from '08 to 13. I had two kids in 2013. Well, I had one, and then soon after I had another. But that basically made me decide that wanted to get out of new home sales, get right into general real estate because I wanted to be able to make my own schedule and kind of like build my own business. And whereas in new home sales, you were working, certain hours, certain weekends, all that good stuff. And so 13, I started up a general real estate business. I already had kind of a track record because I had sold for 5 years in new home sales. I had clients, I had people that I knew here. And so I actually started up a brokerage right when I got into general real estate and ran an independent for about 4 years, similar to John, and grew that to about 15 agents. All sorts of struggles, all sorts of problems. You've probably heard the similar problems as John had, lots of overhead, lots of risk, all that good stuff. And I saw the model in 17 and was like, man, this is a great way to be able to still build my business within a business. And, why don't I just do it here? And so I did that. Started growing my business locally still in San Antonio, which is where I'm at, for probably the first like 2-3 years. So until about 2020, right before the pandemic. And then I remember like probably, 2019, I was like, let me start up a YouTube channel, started growing it so I could start reaching agents, beyond just San Antonio. And then, just been pouring into that. That's done very, very well. That's also led to a lot of other opportunities, even, in addition to the revenue share opportunity. And it's just been a fun journey to, basically now to catch you up to today's speed. I still sell, but not too much. I've been an icon agent, multiple times over. I've had a team at eXp, but now most recently, I only, maybe sell a few homes every year, and it's mostly friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that. And then I just refer all of the other deals out to my local agents here in San Antonio, and earn referral income and earn revenue share and affiliate income from all of the content stuff that I do. So have multiple streams of income, have built an amazing, kind of passive lifestyle now. And I finally have gotten that freedom that I originally set out to do back in 13 with my kiddos. And we get to travel and do all the good, fun things. My kids are homeschooled, so we just pick up and go whenever we want. We've got an RV, kind of like the life AJ had back before he moved to Puerto Rico. And so, yeah, we love it though, but just super blessed. I love the agent community. I love being able to, pour into agents. I've got my own organization here at eXp as well of about a little over 600 agents. We call ourselves the Dream Team. And so, I do a lot of coaching and training with agents within our group and have a lot of fun with that. So sorry, I know that was a little longer than a minute, but I tried.
No, that's awesome. You got us caught up to today. So that was perfect. One of the things that really impresses me about you, Kyle, and it always has, is you're such a great teacher. And I think that's why your YouTube channel has taken off so well. You just have this demeanor that's super chill and just a great teacher, and that you've just been very consistent with your efforts towards building a personal brand. And talk a little bit about, I guess, maybe the early days. You shared why you joined eXp, you had your independent. Why did you start a personal brand? Because I know initially you had your blog, I think, before YouTube. Talk a little bit about just the thought, like, hey, I'm making the active decision to start building a personal brand.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the best decision I've ever made in my business, was to start a personal brand. And I don't know why. I mean, maybe I just have a thick skull or something. It took me like a decade to realize, like, oh, you should build this personal brand, like, do something that, supports you, or like, that you're kind of the face of it. I'd always wanted to kind of like be behind the scenes. And so even when I had my brokerage, our brokerage was Handy Realty, but like, I was just like a piece of it. I was never like a big face of it. We had like a logo, and there was never anything about me. And I think that in real estate, whether you're in the sales side, whether you're in the attraction business, it's a relationship-based business. And I mean, not saying that you can't build a great business like as kind of a, corporate brand or a, company brand, but it's so much easier, I can promise you, if you build a personal brand, because people want to connect, and you just got to like kind of really like kind of lean into who you are as a person, because even though you may be different than me and I'm, different than AJ or whatever, everybody, connects with different people. And so, and it's also really great too, because then the people that don't connect with you, they kind of like self-select out too, right? Because when I was building a corporate brand, company brand, I was just working with so many random people, and my lifestyle was just hectic and crazy, and I wasn't happy with like, who I was working with. And so now that it's like I'm very much out there, I typically get to work with the people that I want to work with, that, kind of feel like they're like me or whatever. And it's made it a lot more satisfying experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was looking at the corporate rankings that they put out every month, and I noticed they have a tab of top FLA leaders, which I hadn't seen that tab before. So I clicked that and I saw that you were number 2 in the whole company for FLAs. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I
And,
didn't even see that. You have to share that with me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll use that for my marketing.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you were right behind Mike Sherrard. So the top 2 people in the company for FLAs are both successful YouTubers, which is really cool. It shows the power of it. And being that I'm a student of the game and always studying what's working, what's not, one thing that I found that's interesting too is because, you might want to start a personal brand. It's just good to remember too, to be very purposeful about also doing like active prospecting and also, the passive prospecting, which I guess is the YouTube, because it's a fine line. And I learned that from Gary Keller, which is always, prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Because I find that sometimes the people who go all in on personal brand, either it just takes too long because it's not an overnight thing. It took you a few years to get to where you are. But also sometimes maybe you just attract the wrong audience. So when it comes to attraction, it's nice to marry the two. Yeah. What was your group size at, Kyle? Do you remember like 2019? Like, were you like 70%, 60%, 50% to where you are now for total org size before your YouTube took off?
Yeah, it was probably about 50%. I was at like maybe 250, 275 agents or so, from what I had built locally before like things had really kind of, gotten bigger with the YouTube and blog.
Yeah. And I know you would attest to the passive prospecting is much more enjoyable than active. Me and you are kind of both in that thing where it's like, man, it's really nice to have people just reaching out to you that want to sign up for eXp.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll say it's definitely a combination of both. I've put in my time and effort, with the active prospecting. Like I can remember, 2018, when I basically made the commitment that I was going to go after, agent attraction and revenue share, I was going to make that a big part of my business. I had to cut everything else out, like in my entire life almost, like I at the time had an investment business. I'd flipped like 8 houses in 2017, made, good money, probably 150, 200 grand, that year just in flipping homes, and kept some of them as rentals. So they would, become even more income down the road. But and then I had a sales team, a real estate sales team, like a local based in San Antonio, in addition to my revenue share team. And basically in 2018, like January, I made the commitment, like I'm cutting, everything, if it's not revenue share or my personal sales business. Cause I looked at everything. I pulled all the income streams and I was like, what is, my highest income stream? And at that time, my personal sales volume was my biggest revenue stream. So it's like, I only do this plus then bring in revenue share. And that's all that I can support. That's all I can focus on. And so, yeah, I cut everything else out. And then, when I did that, it was basically like 60, 70 hours a week of work, because I was still selling a lot of homes. I was an icon agent, that year, 18, 19. But on top of that, I was also going to like coffee and lunch and breakfasts and drinks and happy hours with agents. Like, that was a big focus. I use what's called a greatness tracker. It's from the core training. Y'all can pull it up online for free if you just search greatness tracker. And it's basically just like a sheet. It's like a spreadsheet, and it, has activities that you want to do weekly. And you put, you can kind of customize it and put like how many that you want to do. Like if it's, 30 phone calls, if it's 2 lunches, they call them like break breads. And I basically was doing a greatness tracker for my sales business with buyers and sellers. And I was doing a greatness tracker for agent attraction. And just, some of the things were different as far as the activities that I was doing, but like there was activities that I was doing every week purposefully. And I did that for like, 2.5 years, 3 years solidly. And that built the foundation, like 275 agents. Cause a lot of people will see me now and be like, oh, it's, it's his YouTube channel, or it's this, it's that. Honestly, I mean, my YouTube channel has gotten me the FLAs, there's no doubt about that. But I would say probably 75 to 80% of my organization still today is because of the foundation I built back then. Cause it was 250, 275, back then. And then that's continued to grow even, over these years. So that's probably closer to, 425, 450 now from that original non-YouTube based group that I built. And now my YouTube group, I've got those, and that's accounts for a lot of my FLAs. But at the same time, a lot of them are newer agents. They haven't, duplicated a whole lot, that kind of a thing. And so, so there's both, right? And, there's no quick fix to this. But what I will say is all of the effort that I have put in has been 100% worth it. Like I wouldn't redo anything as far as how much I worked and like what I had to give up to do this. Because now, I mean, as you see like what we're able to do and stuff. It's like, I get to enjoy a lifestyle that very few people get to do. So,
yeah, that's awesome, man. I like hearing how you explain your mindset when you first got into building RevShare. You're like, I gotta eliminate all these other distractions, shut down the flipping business, only focus on some sales because that keeps the lights on, keeps the kids fed. And I'm going all in on attraction, and you tracked it with the greatness tracker.
Yep.
If anyone found that online, post that in the comments. I'm sure people would love to see that. So you went all in, you burned the bridges, you focused on agent attraction. I find that so many agents, they're like, I want this, but it's like, it's like they're a home inspector and, and they're doing loans and they're selling houses and they're, doing drone photography on the weekend. It's like,
yep.
Well, and you want rev share. It's like,
Yep.
I don't know how you're going to do any of that really well. I'm like you, man, I got to focus on one thing. And you and I, it sounds like both made a decision in 2018 to say, hey, we're going all in on rev share. And what's cool, man, hearing about your story too. And for those interested in a personal brand, it's fun to see what it's opened up for you in terms of opportunity of income. It's like, not only do you have your stream of rev share now, but because you said, hey, I need to build a brand to help attract to eXp. And by having rev share already started from your more proactive prospecting, you're able to stop selling, focus on building your brand. And now you have multiple streams of income from different products that you're able to promote through your YouTube channel, YouTube ad revenue, and all those things. And I know from talking to you that I would predict, and maybe you would expect, that at some point soon, your income outside of revenue share, because your personal brand, is going to match and maybe even exceed your revenue share, which is like a cool side benefit, like that just kind of happened.
It 100% did. And that's where it's like, man, you just never know where this like road is going to lead you. Like when you start going down and like pouring into your business, I think what it is just, your passion for it too. Like, I'm super passionate about like what I do. And so that leads me into, all of these great things. And I think too, when you have a passion for it, people want to get plugged in with you, right? Like if they see that you're like, in this for the long haul and that you're doing things that most other agents are not doing, you really get people's attention, right? And so for me, when I started doing like content creation, I really didn't do it. Like I was mainly doing it for agent attraction. Like that's all that I knew. But then, it wasn't until probably 2 years ago, I was like, wow, like there's so many other things that I didn't know that I can, take advantage of now. And yeah, those have turned into whole other businesses. Like for instance, I mean, I'll just give you, a quick snapshot. Like last year, I earned a little over like 300 grand in revenue share and made, just under 100 grand in like affiliate income, which, if anybody knows, like that's basically just like little commissions that I'm getting for products and services that I'm, recommending to people off of my YouTube channel or off of my blog. And it's things that, I do truly have, I use in my business, or I've used them before and I believe in them. You don't want to just like pitch things that you've never used or that you don't believe in. But that being said, like to make that kind of an income, and like, to your point, that income, that 100 grand, that's growing the fastest in out of any of my income streams. Like I think the year before was like 28 grand. So I mean,
Wow.
that thing is like going up like really fast. Ad revenue, I think last year just from YouTube was like something like 30-40 grand a year, that last year it was like 33 grand or something. And so I mean, it's pretty crazy to have all of these spin-off businesses, which it's like, for me, it's just a safety net, right? Like, so because my initial thought was like, I'm all in on eXp. And I think in the beginning, you should be all in on eXp. Like you should be all in on one thing. But then once you kind of like get your systems dialed in, like, I mean, it took me 4 or 5 years to dial in my systems just for agent attraction. Well, now you can kind of like start seeing a little bit further and a little bit further. It's kind of like the analogy I'd heard about, like, if you're driving through the fog, right? Like you can't see as far as you normally would, right? But like, when you drive 100 feet, you can see a little bit, and that's kind of how I felt like, and I still feel like that. Like, I know there's things, I mean, you and I talked about them, AJ, that it's like, as you kind of like progress through your career, like you get exposed to other opportunities and other things that you're like, wow, that's awesome. But I don't think that you get there by like trying to do 10 different things at once, and hoping you're going to be successful. It's more of like, put all your effort in. And then when you start to see some success from it, you can kind of start to figure out how you want to monetize it down the road. And so, yeah, for me, man, I'm telling you, I'm super excited about like the content side of it. It's just one of those things where even, even if eXp, was to, not keep growing or whatever, now it's like, okay, I've got all these other things. So it's just a more security net, for me and the family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see your journey and how fast it seems it happened too, because like I remember sitting by my pool with you in Puerto Rico. It was, March 2020, and your channel was small, and we were just talking strategy around it. And now, it's 3 years later, but geez, do you guys remember where you were when you first heard about this weird, virus and all that? Like, it seems like it was a year ago, and now you have, close to, or maybe surpassed 30,000 subscribers, an additional 6-figure year income, a FLA machine that, you never have to worry about FLAs again. It's really cool. I think a lot of people, underestimate what they can accomplish or overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 or 10.
Yep.
You may have heard that before. And I think that's encouraging. And I think that's encouraging for attractors, because sometimes you're like, man, this thing isn't happening as fast as I would like, or I had different expectations. And here I am, year 2, year 3 of my eXp journey. And, you're not yet retired or whatever your goal was. But just remember that small, consistent action compounds on itself. And eventually you look up one day and you're like, wow, look at this. Look at all these opportunities that are opening up because of these little actions that I put in. And I'm sure all of you can trace back, that one little decision you made, your real estate license, or that the decision you join eXp or whatever little decision that you made kind of snowballed into the success you have today. And I think that's encouraging, or should be encouraging if you're a little discouraged today. What advice would you have, Kyle, when it comes to starting a personal brand for somebody that might be looking to do it?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest advice would be just like, don't make any excuses of why you can't do something. I mean, everything is out there for all of us to succeed. It's just a matter of like whether you're not gonna, whether or not you're gonna go out there and take it. And so, like for me, I've never bought like any $50,000 masterminds, or like literally I've gotten everything that I know from my blog, from my YouTube channel, like, how to set up a studio, like from YouTube, honestly, for free. It's like, you can go and find anything you need out on the internet at this point in time. And then you can start to find tools that will help you be more efficient to carry out the tasks you need to be done on the internet as well. Like, I don't have some massive team either. It's like, to put out the content and that kind of thing. Like, people are like, oh, like how big is your team or this or that? Like how many people do you have working for you? It's like, honestly, like you knew this, AJ, but like last year I had my brother-in-law that worked for me. I had a video editor who works part-time. Like, I just pay him per video basically. And then I have like a inside salesperson that helps me with the leads that come in for my YouTube channel to help like set appointments to do like Zoom calls and stuff with. And that's it. And then now today, like literally all I have is a video editor and my appointment setter. So like my expenses, honestly, for like salary on people is like probably, maybe $1,000, $1,200 a month. Like, it's not like I'm running this massive team where I'm spending, 10, 20, 30 grand a month to like carry out what I need to get done. And so it's just, I knew what I wanted. I just had to figure out how to solve the problem. And I wasn't satisfied until I knew how to do that. And so like, I went down every path I could, and I tried I tried a lot of things. Some things didn't work. Some things didn't work right away, and, but I kept going. And so, but I just knew, and, I had kind of a model in my mind. Like I would, do some research and figure out like, what did I want this thing to look like, 2-3 years down the road. And I was like, all right, well, that's my trajectory. Let me just keep going and getting there. But whenever I didn't know anything, I didn't stop. I just went on YouTube. I talked to somebody. I, went on a website or whatever. And I kept going, and I never like let anything get in my way. I didn't let, other like distractions get in my way. Like, oh, well, I got to try these 10 things. No, like I told myself I'm doing agent attraction and I'm selling homes. Anything besides that, like outside of just spending time with my family, like I'm not going to do it. Right? I'm going to say no to a lot of things. And so I think for anybody, that's looking for advice, that would be it, is like simplify your business, make it to be, maybe the two most important things in your business. One is like an active thing that you have to do to make money today, because we all need to live on something. And then like, and then make your other thing, if it's going to be the rev share, which I really feel it should be, because that's a big, passive opportunity down the road, but it's going to take some time. That should be your second thing. And then like everything else is just noise, in my opinion. I mean, unless you have a proven thing that's bigger than this, but I mean, I think for most of us, we don't. So it's like, pick your active thing, your passive thing, and then just like learn how to do it. Don't say, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I'm not a tech person, or I, all these other things, they got in earlier than me, or whatever it is. Like, those are all excuses. Mike's a good friend of mine, Mike Sherrard, joined 2 years ago, and he's already got like over 12, I think 1,500 agents now in his group. Like, and he has the #1 FLAs. I know, but and that's just one example. Like, there's a lot of other people, that are doing things on YouTube, or are doing things on TikTok, or doing things on Instagram, on Facebook, and, or doing things still locally. Like, they're going to events, and they're growing very, very fast right now. And so, for anybody who has the excuse, it's like, you got to squash that. Like, if you get to like put that at the back of your mind and just keep pressing forward on what it is that you set out to do.
I love that. Great advice. I want to touch real quick on just like lifestyle overall. I think me and you have a very similar vision for what we want our lives to look like and our lifestyles. You visited our house in Michigan this past summer, and I remember you pulled up in your amazing, camper van, like your luxury camper van, and a new F450, I think, Wooly that you guys just purchased because you're buying a fifth wheel like later that week or something. And so like you're just like traveling the country, you buy a new truck on your way, and you did the whole East Coast tour and, you know, just having so much fun with your kids and your wife. Like how has, you know, maybe just talk about how it feels to be able to live that type of lifestyle. It's not like you're just grinding every day. I know you've put in a lot of hard work, a lot of long days. You're diligent. You treat, you know, your personal brand as a professional. So it's not all easy, but you've done a lot of awesome stuff over the last few years. Like how does that feel? And, you know, maybe just speak to lifestyle for a second.
Well, first off, I got to put this out there because I am not by any means like flashy or elaborate for the most part. Like, I mean, yes, we had the nice camper van. We loved that, but we did get our use out of it. And the thing is, we bought that thing for like 190 grand. We had it for 2 years and we sold it for 183. So I mean, seven grand to have that thing. If anybody sees my social media, I mean, it was a nice camper van, right? We used that. We drove it all up and down the US and loved it, right? And then yes, the F450, but the thing is with that was like, man, I've got that. And then the fifth wheel, but that was cheaper than getting a Class A, like, you know, like you guys. And I'm like, you know, so I'm all about trying to save money because my thing is like, you know, I think we sometimes get ourselves in trouble in the sense of like, you know, we overcommit ourselves of like, you know, finances and we need this or we need that. And then it leads us to make other bad decisions about what we do with our time. Like I've never, outside of like when I had a brokerage and when I still was running a team, like that felt so stressful because I had so much like pressure to like provide and to do. And now like when my life has been more simplified as far as like financial and what I'm focused on, it just allows like more creativity to come on, you know, and allows me to take advantage of opportunities that might take more of my time. Like, you know, I'm not so stressed of like, well, I've got to do this because I've got to, you know, pay the bills this week or this month or this whatever. Like I can just like, hey, you know what, this project's going to take me 2 months and I'm really going to devote a lot of my time to this project. It's probably not going to make me a ton of money right away, but I'm going to do it because I know it's the right decision. And when you can kind of like start feeling like that, and a lot of that is, you know, your own personal habits, like how you spend money today and all that type of stuff. And so, you know, I think for me, so that's one side of it, like is the saving side. But now on the making the money side, I mean, dude, I'll tell you, like now with eXp and the revenue share and all the passive income that comes in, it's such like an encouraging thing because I can, you know, I know what I can live on. Like I live on 10, 12 grand a month. Like that's what I need to live. And, you know, I make well over that, you know, with all my other income sources to combine, and I can just pile that money away. You know, I buy still at this point, you know, rental homes, which is like compounding the, you know, the potential of what it can do. And so, you know, I'm one of those type of people that it's like, I'm not saying that I'll ever stop working because I've got a brain that just makes me always want to do stuff, but I never want to lose what I've built, if that makes sense. So like, I love this lifestyle so much now that I have that it's about like padding it, protecting it, like increasing the, you know, the other different ways that I can keep it. And so I think that's what's so cool about it is that for me, you know, it's more of just strategic, like, okay, well, hey, I want to invest in this, whether it's my time or my money. And yeah, and eXp provided that because I can tell you up until 2018, 2019, even still, like I was paycheck to paycheck, like I was commission check to commission check. Like I would earn 300-400 grand a year in sales income in, you know, helping buyers and sellers. But, you know, I had expenses as well, even, you know, to run my business. But like I never had enough to where like there was some times where I'm like, man, like, you know, I hope that you know, that my credit card, I'm not going to pay it this month. I'm going to let it, you know, go over and I'll pay the interest. Like, I don't know. There was just always a lot of tough decisions that I had to make back then. And now I don't have to quite make them. So it's been a lot better lifestyle. Long answer to your question. Sorry.
No, that's amazing, man. I love listening to that. It's inspiring. I can relate to so much of that. And when I was selling houses too, man, I was commission check to commission check and making a couple hundred grand a year, you know, in debt, you know, and I know, you know, for what eXp did for both of us, we're both on our way to building generational wealth. And, you know, the foundation we've laid is already creating that. And Matthew Taylor gave you a good compliment. What a legacy you've built for your family, children, future grandkids.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And that's the opportunity that we all have here with eXp, with the revenue share. If you want to look at doing it with like a personal brand, that's why I want to bring Kyle on, because I think, you know, he's one of the best at it and comes from such a, you know, just a humble place when presenting it. And I know his heart. So he's somebody that I really want to get in front of you guys. Do you got like 5 more minutes if there's any questions, Kyle?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, 5 minutes for questions. If you guys have them, just put them in the chat. That would be awesome. I love hearing like your mindset around lifestyle, because I think a lot of attractors need to hear what it will be like when they accomplish their goals to really go after it, because if you don't have that clear vision, that clear target in mind, you're not going to go all out in accomplishing it. A lot of great compliments in the chat. Yeah, we'll have this recording posted, Andrea. I didn't go live in the group. It didn't work out for me to do that, but I'm going to post the recording for sure. All right. Andrew says, what are some tips to start a YouTube channel to attract agents in 2023?
Yeah. So, the first thing is you define your audience, which it sounds like you've done that, right? Your audience in that particular case, if it was for agents, is, it's real estate agents, right? So that's your audience. Now you have to come up with like, well, what can you provide that's going to add value to that audience, right? So like in my case, I do, specific eXp videos, but like that's not the only videos that I would recommend you do, because that's not a huge value add necessarily to like the entire real estate community. That might be a value add to somebody who's already looking at eXp or whatever. But like what I've found is that like if I do, let's say 5 or 6, just training videos to every one eXp video, that seems to be like a good thing. I'm not over promoting eXp, but at the same time, like I'm really truly giving value to my audience, and having them find me and want to work with me. And so that's a big thing. And then so like once you know who your audience is, kind of like obviously the mix of content you want to put on your channel. I think you do have to get a little strategic with like learning a bit about SEO, so search engine optimization. There's videos you can watch, of course, on there's videos you can watch on my channel. There's just tons of videos you can watch on YouTube about SEO in general. And so whether it's SEO for blogging or SEO for YouTube, it's a lot of the same kind of thing. I will say for YouTube specifically, because that was your question, it starts with keyword research. So figuring out like, how are people searching for things on YouTube? And you can do that like just on auto suggest. Like if you go in YouTube and you go into the search bar and you start typing in things, you'll see what YouTube starts to pop up that says like, hey, people are searching for this. Then once you do that, what I like to do is use a keyword research tool. You can use like, I use Ahrefs, which is, it's more expensive. There's cheaper ones. There's like Uber Suggest, there's KW Finder. There's a few different tools that you can get for keyword research, but you type in that keyword that you identified into there, and then it tells you what the difficulty is. Like it'll say like the search volume is X, Y, or Z. And then the difficulty is, X, Y, or Z. And the difficulty just means like, if there's a ton of videos already out by like people who have a lot of subscribers or a lot of views, it's gonna be difficult for you to target that search term. But it'll be easier if you go after something that has what they call a long tail keyword. So like, instead of like how to sell houses, right? Like there's probably a ton of videos on YouTube for how to sell houses. But if it was like how to sell, houses on, YouTube, in, whatever for 55 and older clients, right? Or whatever it is, like whatever your niche is or whatever, right? If you wanted to make that video, I'm sure there's less competition, right? The more you extend out what that term is, the less competition is going to be. And so in the beginning, you got to start out with some of these more obscure ones to kind of get people to watch your stuff. And then as you start to get more subscribers, you get, more traction on your channel, you can go after those harder search terms, the ones that are more difficult in the beginning. And then it's just like a snowball effect where it's like, okay, well, now you're getting better searches, you're getting more people, and it's just, more and more and more. And so that's kind of it, is start with keyword research. Then once you know what the topics are of your channel or that you're going to go after, like I just make a spreadsheet. I've got probably 50 of my next videos already spreadsheeted out that I know that I want to go after. Then it just comes down to, of course, getting on camera, like, getting comfortable with recording, getting the videos edited, which perhaps you might want to, consider getting a video editor. You can find editors on like Upwork or Fiverr that will edit videos for like $60 to $80 a video, for, good editing, versus you having to try and learn all the stuff yourself. And then at that point, the two biggest things optimization wise for YouTube is your thumbnail and your title, right? So just getting really good, kind of figuring out, hey, what are these other, thumbnails looking like? Which a lot of times, if you get your video editor can give you pretty decent thumbnails as well. So it might just be like an add-on service. and then, and then just kind of coming up with a title. But title, thumbnail, that'll get clicks to your video at least. And then from there, however good your video is going to determine how, much more that video gets promoted by YouTube. So long answer, but that's my entire YouTube course. So now you already have the answer. You don't have to go buy my YouTube course, to learn everything.
Do you have a YouTube course?
I do. Yeah. Okay. If you go, academy.kylehandy.com, I've got a YouTube course on there. It's basically, but I mean, it is that. I mean, that's it. But I've got it broken down into like 5 videos that are an hour long each that kind of break up the segments. Yeah.
I didn't know you launched that yet. Yeah. If you guys want to check that out, I'm sure a link in one of Kyle's YouTube videos, the description.
Yeah.
Is it there too? Or you can post the link in the comments too, Kyle.
Yeah. Here,
yeah, if you guys want to check Kyle out more too, go to his YouTube channel. You can just search Kyle Handy, and then also his blogs, kylehandy.com. He gets tons of traffic. We didn't really talk about that, but he's probably got the #1 blog when it comes to eXp Realty. So Robin, if you can clarify your question, that'd be awesome. What were the resources you used?
It was a crappy question. It was, what systems did you use in the beginning to make sure that you're staying on track, make sure you're touching these people? Like, what did you use a CRM of any form to just do the agent attraction piece?
For agent attraction, yes, definitely. I still do use a CRM. In the beginning, I think I used like CRM Grow. Now I use Follow Up Boss, is kind of the system I use just to kind of put all of my leads into there. And then to email them out and that kind of things. Like I've got some email drip campaigns that I send out whenever somebody comes a lead. Plus I can text straight from the system, so I can have my ISA in there, texting, just trying to set up appointments for me. So that definitely, you got to treat it like a business, and just like you have a CRM, probably, hopefully for your sales business, you would want to have a CRM for your attraction business as well. I don't think Follow Up Boss is the only option. It's just, I'd use that for my sales business in the past. And I wanted to keep it separate from KV Core because I was using KV Core for my buyer seller business. And I know you can throw agents in there and like label them as agents, but I still just like being able to, like, when I'm focused on agent traction, I just log into Follow Up Boss. And when I want to work buyers and sellers, I log into KV Core. Like, that's kind of how I ran it. And that seemed to work for me. It still does.
Good stuff. Catherine, I think the coupon code is the cost of the course. I just clicked. It's only $97.
It's only $97. I don't think I have it cheaper than that.
I bought one last year for $5,000. I've paid $500 for one, and $997 for one. So I got thousands in YouTube courses. I love that, Catherine. Always looking for a deal.
Me too. Trust me. Me too. You got to ask. You can't get it if you don't ask.
Like, I'm scrolling back up. Resources you use when starting a podcast or a YouTube channel. I recommend the channel Think Media. That's my favorite YouTuber for teaching YouTube. Think Media. Any that you have, Kyle, that you really like?
I definitely used Think Media a lot. I would say a good one too, and I think I've told you about him, is Miles Beckler. I don't know how much you've actually watched him. His content is little, I wouldn't say dry, but it's not like as flashy maybe as like a Think Media. They're pretty high on their, they look like, it looks good on camera, right? His stuff is just like Zoom calls, or it's like webcam for the most part. But the content is really good. And like, that's how I learned SEO. That's how I learned keyword research. That's how I learned how to build a website, a blog. I mean, everything was basically from Miles Beckler. And so hopefully y'all can check him out. He's still making videos now. Obviously, I mean, I think probably his videos, like 4 or 5 years old, are still really good. So like, don't think like, those videos are old. I mean, they're still very relevant, even his older stuff.
When you started Agent Traction, did you prospect agents you knew and that you've done deals with?
Yep. That was all that I started with, was agents that I knew, done deals with. And then, I did make more of an effort to like go to like networking of things, which even like, I'm not a big networker. Like, I'm not like a belly to belly person. I'm actually kind of introvert, like to be in my office, like to work from home, for the most part. And so it was very uncomfortable for me to do that type of thing. But I just, again, knew how powerful it was going to be someday for me. And, and I was like, hey, I'm willing to live in this uncomfortableness because, and the thing was because you know, I knew there was people already doing it. Like I was looking at Pat Hayes, I was looking at Brent Walgren, Scott Lewis, you know, Gene Frederick, Rob Flick. And I was like, it's not a what if, like, you know, I know this thing makes money, like, you know, revenue share. So it's just a matter of like, am I going to be the one to do it? Like, you know, put the work in. And so I knew that it was possible. So I just went forward even in the uncomfortableness of it. So I think
Cool.
Matt had a question. I saw you'd raised your hand earlier. I don't know.
Matt,
No,
you
I
want-
got, it was the one that AJ just read.
Oh,
It was,
did you? Okay,
you
good.
prospect
Good.
people you didn't know as well, like when you first were doing agent attraction.
Got it. Got it. Cool.
Good stuff. What are some of the most valuable videos in terms of response and views that you've made? So like any like certain topics that, you know, when you make a video on that topic, it's going to get a lot of views.
Man, it's hard. I mean, so here's the thing. I think what I've found, is I do find a lot of, you know, the topics that get the most views, of course, are going to be like newer agent topics, right? Like you're going to get, well, in general, there's more new agents than there are like super seasoned, you know, it's like kind of that, you know, 90-10 rule where it's like 10% of the agents do, you know, 90% of the business. And so, but, you know, most of the questions are coming from like the agents that are trying to learn, the up and coming ones. So like, you know, so no question is ever too basic. Like, honestly, like it's crazy. I'll look at my channel and like, so, you know, it's not one of my best videos, but it's up there. It's probably in the top 10%, is like a video that I just set my camera down on my desk and I did a mock buyer consultation with one of my partners, Curtis Dixon at the time, actually. And, you know, it's so low budget. Like, I mean, it's low quality. But it was just me truly just doing a mock buyer. So somebody could see how I said something, you know, and that was helpful to people. Right. So like, there's no topic that, you know, you might think that it's too small for you because you're like, oh, well, I do this or that already, you know, but I promise you, there's always people that are just getting started that like don't know anything. And so like, I even got a video that's like how to unlock a lockbox on my channel. So like, I mean, if you know what I mean? So you just never know the different types of things that are available for you to make content on. And then the other thing too, is like, don't ever say like, well, that video's already been made, so I can't make it or whatever. Because if I would do that, then I would have no videos on my channel, because every video I've made has been made before, right? Like there's no original content out there completely. But what people do like is they like your personality, right? Like certain people will just, you know, relate to people better. And so even if somebody else made that video, they'll relate to you different, right? And then your video takes off, then they watch your next video and your next video. And so, but it's just about, you know, kind of making things that are as helpful to people that you feel like, you know, and that's the thing, is you don't have to be an expert on it to teach it, right? Like for me, a lot of the stuff that I teach on, you know, what I've done is I'll do a research before making a video or making a blog post, and I'll formulate my thoughts into like an outline or, you know, that type of a thing. But like, I wasn't necessarily the expert or as well versed in it before I was about to make that video. It's just like, okay, I'm going to make a video about, you know, open houses. Well, let me go research and just get some really good ideas, maybe in things that I hadn't thought about before, and just try and compile all that, and make, you know, the best piece of content that I can make. And so it's like not necessarily that I was the expert in open houses, but like I was the expert in the sense that I took the time, went out there, looked at a few different sources, maybe watched a few different videos. And there's a lot of value in that when you can be the one to compile the information, make it, you know, bite-sized for people where they can, you know, get good value in 12 to 15 minutes on a YouTube video, and, you know, and go about their day. Like there's a big value in that you provide. So, you know, definitely, I think that's a big thing for you, for people.
Well said. Well said. All right. Rapid fire. A couple more questions. Rapid fire. Do you write scripts for videos?
Yes. Yep. Definitely. I would say, because I know, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, like, you know, should you, like, that doesn't seem personable or natural or whatever. I will say the opposite. So like some of my first videos were unscripted. And the problem, at least for me, is I'm very like wordy. Like it takes me a while to like get to my point if I don't have like a script or an outline. And so when I would just kind of go off the cuff, my videos would be 40, 50 minutes long, which is not ideal for YouTube. And then what I would try and do is I would make that video, and then I would like transcribe it and then try and condense this, you know, 20,000, 30,000 word thing into a blog post that I could use. Whereas I was like, why don't I go the other way around it, why don't I create the blog post first, you know, make a 1,500, 1,800 word blog post that can become my script, that I can then, you know, throw literally on a teleprompter. And what I end up doing is like, I don't necessarily read the blog post word for word, but like some things I do for sure. And then other things I'll be like, oh, that sounds too written. So then I'll just like on the spot, maybe just change that sentence or change that paragraph into what I'm thinking, but then I can just flow through. And then that 1,500, 1,800 words turns into a 12 to 15 minute YouTube video versus like 40 minutes. And because the thing is, again, you know, if people don't want to sit around and watch a 40-minute video when they can get the same thing for 12 minutes, right? Like you just got to get to the point, you know, you got to be like direct and, you know, tell people they don't want fluff and all this stuff. You know, I have a live stream and I do lives once a week, and that's okay. You know, that's kind of, you know, you're going to have fluff. You're going to be, you know, just conversing and stuff, but like a YouTube video where somebody's searching, they want the answer, like they want their answer quick. And so you got to be prepared for that. And I just don't know many people that can like give a really good video in like 12 minutes without any kind of like script or an outline or something like that. And so for me, I just like to do it. Plus then also it cuts down my recording days exponentially. Like, you know, now I can record 4 videos in 2-3 hours because I'll have all the scripts prepared. Like I'll have written them out, you know, the week before or whatever. And then I just have them lined up. I change my shirt in between, you know, and literally it's like, boom, done that video, boom, done that video. And I can knock out 4 videos, send them to the editor. And then like my next 2 weeks of videos are done. Versus like, if you're trying to sit there and like make a video on the spot, it's, you know, even if you've done it for a while, it seems overwhelming and, you know, and it's just not the greatest way. So, I mean, go buy a teleprompter. They're like $80, you know, just get familiar with it. You'll get better at like reading off the teleprompter where it actually seems more natural, the more you do it. But like I say, that way, I think honestly, that's the best way to give value to your audience. You've taken the time to prepare what you want to say, and you're still presenting it in a manner that is like impactful to people. And I mean, if you go watch some of my newest videos, yeah, maybe you'll know. I mean, if you're trained to be like, oh, like, and now that I've told you, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it's a teleprompter, but it doesn't like lose the value that I'm providing to people in any way because I'm still giving what they need as far as the information.
Great way to explain that. If you guys want to check out all the equipment Kyle uses, he has a link in his description on his YouTube channel to all his gear. I'm sure the teleprompter is in there as well.
It is.
His video, his camera, his mic, so you get the nice audio he has, the crispiness of the video. He's got all that stuff in there. ChatGPT to write your blogs or video scripts. We're using that. You're using that.
Yeah. So I have a video I just did on ChatGPT actually. And so there's definitely some no-nos that I would say you don't want to do it. Like you don't want to just say like, write me a blog post about how to, you know, do open houses for real estate agents. Like that's the wrong way of doing it. But in the video that I've got, I kind of explain my workflow with it. I use it as like a companion to me writing it out. I don't use it as like the end all be all creator though of the thing.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good for giving you outlines that you can expand upon.
Yep.
I recently started a blog, or I should say my virtual assistant started my blog for me. And those are exclusively written with AI, like 100%. So I don't know if they're good. I haven't really reviewed them. Probably why I'm not going to get the traction that Kyle gets. I don't even look at it. But my blog's at ajmighty.com. If you think they're good, let me know. That would be helpful. Just low priority item right now. Kyle, how many unique visitors do you get to your blog on a monthly basis?
So here's the funny thing, man. And this is where, you know, I love blogging because it's so under the radar. Everybody thinks of me as like, oh, because they can see how many subscribers you have on YouTube. Whereas blogging, it's like all the numbers are behind the scenes, like in my analytics. But I actually get way more views every month on my blog than I do on my YouTube channel. So, and I've literally heard people, Mike Sherrard, you know, he's a good friend of mine, so I can give him crap for this, stand on stage and be like, blogging is ridiculous. It's dumb. You know, YouTube is the only thing and this or that. And it's like, honestly, man, I get like 100,000 page views every month on my blog. And I get about 60,000 views on my YouTube videos every month. Yeah. And, you know, and at this point, like my blog helps me build my email list. I've got a little over 18,000 agents on my email list now, and I add about 1,600 a month, which is way more than what you'll get with YouTube. Like I still, you know, tell people to go and subscribe to my newsletter on my YouTube videos, but not as many of them do. Whereas on blogging, they do that. So if you're trying to build an email list, which is really important, doing a blog is great. Plus, like I say, I mean, Google is still the #1 search engine in the world, even above YouTube. And so what's great about it is you can embed your YouTube video in your blog. And so if you have a blog that, you know, you've also made a YouTube video for, you can come up and be the #1 search engine or search item on Google. And then people still watch your YouTube video because it's embedded in the post, which then helps you to rank and, you know, to do better on your YouTube channel as well. So, I mean, having that blog traffic, just like it more than doubles your potential of what you can do, because, you know, more than, like I say, I mean, I get 100,000 versus 60,000, and I've got about the same content. I got about 320 pieces of content on YouTube and on my blog. It's about the same. And so, so that just goes to show, like, there's more searches on Google happening. And so that just helps me rank on both.
Good stuff. All right. I'm going to answer the last one for the sake of time. Podcast versus blog YouTube, because I know your answer. If you're going to do a podcast, just make it your YouTube live stream and repurpose that as a podcast. Anything you want to add to that real quick?
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, I think you definitely should do both, or, you know, do it all, because here's the thing. If you're doing blog YouTube, like my workflow is that I just create the blog. Like that's where it takes most of my time. Once I have the blog written, it's an easy script. I can record the video, send it off to video editor. For the most part, I don't see it much after I've sent it off to the video editor. And then from there, once you have the video, literally all I do is I'll take the video and use a program called Auphonic, AUPHONIC, to basically strip the video off and just have the audio. And it also like cleans up the audio to sound better. And it gives me like a really high quality audio file that I can then send to what's called Libsyn, Libsyn. And then that will, that's like your hosting per se for your podcast. So like take that audio, you put it on Libsyn, and then Libsyn sends it out to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts and to all the other different podcast places. And you pay like $10 a month for Libsyn. So it's super cheap. And so then you can have it all. I mean, you've already made the most of the content from the blog, right? Like that was your initial starting point. Well, it takes maybe an extra 10 minutes to take that YouTube video and make it into a podcast. So why not do that, right? And yeah, you can do that with your, you know, talking head style videos, or you can do it with your live stream. Do it with both. Like I do it with both of mine.
Cool. Awesome. This was great. Lots of good feedback. We will definitely have Kyle back later this year to touch base and give some more great strategies. Good
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Thanks, AJ. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us so long. I know went a little over, but I'm happy to be here. If anybody has other questions, you know, feel free to reach out to me on social. You know, Instagram DM is probably the fastest, easiest way, or you can just email me, kyle@thehandyteam.com, if you got some other questions.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you. It was awesome today.
Thanks, Kyle.
You
That's
bet.
a freaking rock star, man. Thanks.
Thanks,
you, guys.
Robin.
That was
Thanks,
amazing.
Matthew.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Kyle, this was the absolute best time I've spent this whole year. So thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. That means a lot. Well, hopefully I'll see y'all at an upcoming eXp event. So
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person at some point.
likewise.